Hello to everybody out there in space. I am going to say the obvious. I'm going to start with the obvious, which you can see, but needs to be said. I am here with my partner in crime, Heather, in the same space, doing this from one place, which is pretty cool. And I think we've been having quite an experience actually being able to talk face to face.
Yes, because remember, we know each other through Zoom because of the pandemic primarily. We had met before all of the Zooming started and the book talk started and the podcast started, but we actually had never really spent time in the same space except as colleagues on one side of a lectern and the other. So it turns out that we're more trouble in person than we are.
That's not a surprise. That's hardly a surprise. But yeah, we've had a lot to say to each other a lot of the time.
And it's kind of funny because when we start to talk, it seems like a lot of people move away, which is
the circle of silence, the cone of silence forms around us.
So we're here on the coast of Maine, on both of us ending up our summer vacations. And although they were never really summer vacations, actually, I've been here for a year and a half. And
it's my vacation.
It's your vacation.
Yeah.
And we're doing the best we can here.
You're doing an excellent job. You like, I will say, bought like one of my favorite soft drink beverages.
And what you don't know is I tried one of them because I thought that I should know what they're like. And it was so bad that I actually went back to the grocery store and asked if there was a different kind.
Wow.
That was better and that this was a knockoff. And they said, what are you talking about? That's exactly
what it's supposed to be.
I'm like, okay, she's saying.
Meanwhile, I was so excited. You can vouch. I was like, oh, what a host.
Yesterday, my wonderful partner took the day off and took us out to an island that is not accessible in any way other than by having a partner with a boat. And it has no electricity. It has no running water, which we learned quite a bit about. And it has quite a history. And it is very divorced from the way most people in America currently live.
It was beautiful and lovely, and I loved the whole day.
It's spectacular.
It's amazing.
It's been a horrible summer weather-wise, and we have like the days that show up in novels. It's
and I keep saying everyone should lie and say like, "Oh, Joanne, it's always like this here." Everyone must be in Maine. But we walked the length of the island. And as we went along the way, Heather and her partner were sort of pointing things out, and the idea that there's no running water and that there's no electricity was interesting. And I was still like on another planet. But then we began to run into places where there were either signs of people or people, which
is quite unusual actually on that island. It's because it was such a gorgeous day.
Yeah. Well, and then at the end too, when we began running into people, the other planetness of it became more obvious.
We got a whole bunch of pictures of the back of Joanne's head. One of the things we talked about was that in the 19th century, in fact, that was the hub of this area in terms of activity because water travel was so much easier than land travel, that's where the school was, that's where the post office was out on this island, which, as I say, is now not inhabitable. But one of the things not inhabited year round. It's definitely inhabitable. One of the things we did was we took Joanne to the cemetery where my partner has people from
forever.
But one of the things that jumped out to Joanne, is we're going into the cemetery, and I hadn't been there for about 6 years into the cemetery. And there's a sign, and I keep looking at my phone here because I took a picture of the sign that says on the cemetery, private property, all plots have been assigned, no burials without permission. And then there's a thing to contact if you want to bury somebody there. And Joanne looks at me and she goes, is this a problem?
It must have happened before, because why would they put a sign up, like no dancing? I don't know what else the sign would say, but you can't bury people here without permission. It was like what? Like people are like prancing their way across the remote island to bury people in this graveyard. So
a very beautiful graveyard.
It is lovely.
But so then we keep on walking and we come to the town where there are people who live now in the summer in a very beautiful town. And we know some of the people there. So we're talking to them and we bring up this sign and Joanne says,
this, surely this didn't really happen. Like, although the sign is up there, so it suggests at some point it must have happened.
And they go, well, yeah. And we're all sort of like, okay. They said, well, a couple of years ago, we came to the island and there were 2 fresh plots there.
But then I think I said, well, so what did you do? And they said, oh, nothing. It's just, it happened. Now we put up a sign. That's what they did.
We put up a sign. That's right. So that people wouldn't just think they could come bury people. And we're historians going like, did you check to see who was there? Or did you?
Right. Was it like an evil deed? Like, was someone being disappeared in that graveyard?
And they're like, no, this is just, I don't know. This is just part of the culture now of the island.
And they weren't like upset or bemused or embarrassed or anything. It was just like, no.
It's just the way it is. That somebody came over here and buried 2 probably people, who knows?
I guess that's true too.
Without any indication of who they were or anything.
I don't think I had any expectation coming up here, except it was going to be pretty and I'd be hanging out with you and we would talk a lot. I don't know that much about Maine, but pretty is kind of my sophisticated understanding of Maine. It's pretty. But it is very pretty. It's beautiful. We're looking out at a beautiful view as we sit right here. But I didn't come here thinking I shall be as though I am in a remote area. And there's been more of that than I expected. And then also more of the sense that, and I said this to you earlier too, that I'm in Heatherland. I'm in the land of Richardson, because you know so much and so many people know you not because of the glory of Now and Then and your letters. They just know your family, they know your history, they know your partner, like everybody. Like, and you've been pointing out like, well, this thing happened over here. And, let me tell you about my parents over here. Yeah. It's Heatherland. I have come to Heatherland.
I'm out on the island where everyone knew my partner.
Yes.
But what that really highlighted, what was happening in that cemetery and with the people who are like, yeah, that just happened. And we're both like looking at each other like, I mean, it's like really an incredible story. That's